Welcome to episode 1 of the Behind the Bricks podcast. Today's topic will be scripting and storyboarding, and me and Tom will be talking about our story creation process. This is our first episode of the Behind the Bricks podcast, and we're super excited to do this, and we hope you guys are too, because this was something we had in mind for a couple months now, and we've just been researching, taking notes, and planning out this first season of Behind the Bricks, and we are just super pumped about it. So enjoy this first episode, and without further ado, roll the tape.
Okay, everyone, what's up? We've got a new series for you today, me and Jared. And Jared, hit them with the deets.
Alright, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Bricks, episode 1. This podcast is a podcast where it'll be around 30 minutes long, pre-recorded, possibly on iTunes and SoundCloud, but it'll definitely be on YouTube. It'll be on Tom's channel, Scorch Bricks, so check that out when we release these. But each episode will be hosted by me and him, and it will be based around, various topics in the brick film community, ranging from, production to pre-production, and to all sorts of things about a brick film. So today's episode is about scripting and storyboarding, or the pre-production process.
Okay, so I think probably a good place to start is if we just go through our process.
Yeah.
So do you want to go first?
Yeah, so my pre-production process is pretty normal, I guess, to other people. Like, whenever, at first I have to get an idea, and usually that comes from the shower or
The shower's a classic.
the shower is a good place, man. There's nothing wrong with the shower. It's just a nice, peaceful way to get clean and get some good ideas. And
Get some good clean ideas.
yeah, for sure. But sometimes it's hard to get ideas, but when I do, I usually write them down in a notebook or something like that, or write them down in Google Docs, and then usually share them with a friend and see how they like it, and then and if they do, then I usually go along with it and write a script out in either Google Docs or Fade In, my script writing software, and then when that's done, I usually don't storyboard that often, honestly. I used to back in the day, but now that I have less and less time to do stuff, I kind of throw storyboard to the side. Unless it's like a huge fight scene or something like that, then I have to storyboard. But other than that, storyboarding is not important to the pre-production process, for me at least.
Well, I guess it is that whole, because most of the animations you make and I make as well, we're making them on our own, and because we can already see it in our, particularly me, from my perspective, I can already see it in my head, so there would be no necessity to storyboard something to show someone else, for example, if they were shooting a scene.
Yeah. I mean,
so
don't you storyboard for Matt or something like that whenever
well,
he does,
yeah,
CGI
I've definitely if I'm asking a mate to do a CGI scene or something, or in the past, if I've done CGI scenes for people, what I've tended to do is storyboard something loosely, send it to them just to give them an idea of the sort of thing I'm looking for. I think it definitely helps in that sort of instance.
Oh yeah. I mean, it'd be hard to. I mean, I can't even imagine doing a CGI or a blender shot of something with just visual, not visual words, but with just words that you tell me, and I have to figure out my own way of doing it. I think that'd be extremely difficult to do that, but I think pre-composing a shot on a napkin, I think would be very helpful to
the
CGI.
old pre-napkin sort of thing.
Oh yeah, the pre-napkin.
Yeah.
Nothing
Plus,
wrong with...
and the whole thing with CGI is because it can sometimes take hours to render. You wanna make sure you're hitting the mark pretty early on, I think. Okay, awesome. So so that's basically your process for when you come to a project?
Yeah, pretty much. It's nothing long and drawn out, but it's just it's pretty simple. It's nothing advanced where I have to go to a coffee shop and I have to write down all these ideas, and if I don't get these ideas done by 3 o'clock today, then I'm not gonna brick film anymore for the rest of the year. It's nothing too serious.
Nice.
It's just.
And I think that's important as well, that you keep it casual, especially when it sort of comes to the hobby aspect, because you can't force creativity, right?
Yeah.
So you just gotta let it flow, and that's actually why I think you do this as well, don't you? We have like a book, an ideas book.
Oh yeah. I keep like a little journal on me at all times. Like either if it's like on my phone, or like I have a little one in my backpack when I go to school or something like that. Just if I have like an idea or anything, I jot it down real quick. But usually I never have ideas because life is just stressy, very stressful.
It's really weird how it works, because you can go through like months and have nothing, then all of a sudden it's like a week and you're new film every single day, and you're like, it's going to take me 6 years to make all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, for the past almost my whole life, I've been I talked about this in my last Streaming While Dreaming podcast. I talked about how creativity stresses me out so much because I feel like I don't have any good ideas, and when I do get like a good idea, it's just like it literally stresses me out so much that I don't really want to write it anymore. I don't want to go on with it because I feel like my writing is just like crap, and like I'm just sitting there like I don't want to do this anymore. So I push it to the back of the corner, and I just sit away from it as far as I can and not even look at it, because if it may be a good idea, but I just hate it, and I don't go on with it.
It's tough sometimes, but I mean sometimes I think a project definitely benefits from sort of having a fresh perspective. So like putting it on the back burner for a bit, going away, doing like another project or something completely different, go and do some schoolwork and like doing that for maybe a couple of days, even a couple of weeks sort of thing, and then coming back to it. I think that definitely helps sometimes. It gives you a fresh perspective, and you might want to change some details up, or solve some problems that you couldn't come up with some solutions to earlier.
Yeah, let me ask you this. What do you think about people, because I know a lot of people do this, but I used to do this, honestly. A lot of people don't script anything. They usually just, keep it all in their head and then go along with the animation and, I guess, finish a Burke film with no script in mind. Or, not in mind, but no script in hand. But they still finish one. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so it's sort of like sort of improvisation, I guess.
Yeah.
They just sort of make it up as they're going on. I think so that's probably quite a fun aspect, a fun approach even to doing a Brit film. I guess it sort of depends, because for something like Thack, for example, I mean, I haven't done Thack, but I imagine if I did do Thack, I probably would write a script, but I wouldn't get too heavy. Like Brawl, for example, when I did Brawl in 2017, I wrote a script for that, but I wrote the first half of the script and started filming before I knew how it was going to end. And it's pretty dangerous, I guess, because you might end up destroying sets that you need later on, or I mean, Brawl was a pretty short film, so it wasn't too bad. Or like leading yourself down a path and then doing sort of a sharp turn away. I guess I mean, everyone has their own style, right? And it's that's probably more of a fun approach, because you're a bit more hands-on. I mean, sometimes maybe you can overplan, spend too long in pre-production, but I'm very much quite a heavy planner myself, so I probably wouldn't go into a big production without a script, especially sort of a major one that wasn't a serious time pressure. I don't know. How about you? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. It's just like, I feel like and for me at least, I have to have something written down. Like, I have to have reference in hand, or on a computer or something, just so I can go back to it and make sure I'm doing everything right in the right way. But because I used to do that back in the day when I was much younger. I used to just hey, I got an idea, I'm gonna film this real quick and drop it in the computer and Windows Movie Maker. I'm gonna edit it fast. And I mean, that was no problem back then, but like now, as I've grown as a filmmaker and as a Burke filmer, I feel like I have to push all that quote unquote childish stuff to the side, and then just write stuff down and like form out a full out script and just reference back to it. So it's not really a huge issue to me, but I still know a lot of people that do it these days, and I mean, whatever works for you, you do it. I mean, that's okay. There's no problem with not writing anything down and just keeping it all in your head and just improvising. But I would highly suggest writing something down. I mean, that'd be my first tip of the day is just to write something down, and you know, I mean, all you have to do is just write out your story, and then you're done. I mean, you don't even have to write out a full out script. You just need to write out your story and just keep it, you know, keep it flowing, I guess, throughout the whole production.
Yeah, I guess it's almost more impressive when someone sort of freestyles something.
Yeah.
Particularly if it comes out and it's got like a decent in-depth story, and you're kind of like, wow, how, you know, that's really quite an impressive skill to be able to nail it on the go.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I quite like, especially now I'm like dipping into different genres, particularly things like horror and stuff, where story planning is a bit more prominent.
Necessary.
I'm like trying to expand my abilities and approaches to writing a story, getting the best out of the story, that sort of thing. So I think I'm sort of benefiting from script writing. Also, particularly if you're going to get voice actors involved, script really helps.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Particularly as you can paint a picture for them as to what's happening in the scene, and that sort of thing. I mean, yeah, that's an interesting question though. That was definitely an interesting question. So should I just go into how I do my pre-production now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I guess if someone was to ask me on the street, you know, if I was like walking down the street and someone was to say, "Hey man, how do you do your pre-production on a brick film?" I'd be like, well, I mean, to be honest, firstly, I'd be like, "Whoa, why are you asking me about this? We're in the middle of the we're in the middle of the street." But
it's kind of weird.
But yeah, a little bit weird. But then on some reflection, I would probably immediately say to you, well, you know, I've got a system that I think works, and sort of do the same thing every time. But actually thinking about it, now I'm quite an organized fellow. I'd like to think, and I sort of get my process fine tuning as I'm going as I do project after project. But actually with pre-production, that's a bit of a weird one with me, because it's actually, looking back, it's been very fluid and very changeable over the years. I mean, so like we said before, I have like an ideas book, so all my ideas go in that book, and then I'll just sort of flick through that book and see what's sort of appropriate to make now, maybe, or what I feel, because sometimes like I come up with an idea and I'll write it in that book, and I won't make it for a couple of years because I don't think that I've got like the ability or the equipment necessary to do it justice, so I don't want to waste the idea. So I have the ideas book, and what I'll then do is, once I've selected a project I'm going to do, is that's when the variation comes in. So the James Bond film I did, for example, I actually did the whole full-blown storyboards for that, which is long. It's long. I mean, they look quite good now, but it's quite a long old job. Most of the time I'll like write a script, and we'll get on to how we write scripts a bit later on, but I'll write a script, and then I sort of do what I like to call the things around the script. So I'll create like a set list, maybe like a schedule, list of voice actors, because voice actors is actually something you really want to pick up early on in the project to give them as much time as possible to do the voices. But all those documents sort of like accompany the script, and yeah, like I said, this is constantly changing. And the Alien film I did a couple of years ago, actually, it's fun fact, it is one of my favorite films I've done. That whole idea came from, I was literally scrolling through the YouTube sound library, right?
Yeah.
And I heard the alarm effect, and I was like, hey, I could do a pretty good spaceship alarm with this. How would I want to do this? And I came up with the idea to incorporate Alien into it.
Oh, that's great.
And it sort of flowed from there. But that film doesn't really have a script, because it's all action. I don't think there's actually any lines in it. Yeah. It's so my pre-production's really quite changeable, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy how, like, I mean, you can do the smallest of things, from going through this YouTube sound library, or from, you know, reading like a news article on Facebook, or like, you know, just scrolling through, you know, something, and then an idea just pops in your head.
It's crazy. Ideas are crazy, man. They're crazy. Like like you say, the shower. I used to get quite a lot when I was mowing the grass, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic.
And I know like a lot of people like I think Chris at Goldberg Productions, he does a lot. Like he runs a lot, so I guess whenever he runs, and like that's kind of like his relaxing kind of stage.
Okay.
And I feel like that's when that's when a lot of people do get a lot of ideas. Is like whenever they're in their most comfortable stage, whether it be like exercising or just taking a nice walk with your dog, or like in the shower, or even just from chilling on the couch watching the telly.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people do get even some like just snippets of ideas that can contribute to a much bigger one, I guess.
Yeah, and it's crazy, particularly as sometimes it takes an idea like ages to develop. Like one of the films I'm writing at the moment is literally, it's like I'll be like 6 weeks and then I'll get a tiniest detail from somewhere ridiculous and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll write that in, and it's sort of developing over time. It's taking a while, but
oh yeah,
it's crazy. I think it's those moments where you switch, your mind switches off, and you're doing like a sort of a mundane or a repetitive task, and your mind just sort of wanders on its own. I think that's the real gold of creativity. It's so unpredictable as well. It's so you can't plan it. It's not industrial. It's which is why I kind of like, I'm very keen to keep this brick filming a hobby, because I think if you ever had to sort of do it on demand, I mean, I don't know how it would actually go, but I imagine when you're trying to force the creative juices, your quality might take a slip a little bit.
Now, you said in your process that you do make us like a schedule. Like, do you always make a schedule for your projects?
No, so that's sort of come out necessity from my position, and that is because I'm at university,
right,
and all my Lego is at home. I will come home sometimes only for a week or 2 weeks, and I know I've got to do all my production in that time. So I started making schedules in my first year when I came home, just to make sure that I was going to be able to get all the shots, and also if I had to take a day off for some reason or another, I could work out whether or not I was going to be able to fit it in, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's really been born out of necessity for me. I probably will still do it going forward, just because it's actually quite nice knowing what's got to be done when this is happening, when that's happening, that sort of thing.
Right.
Also, it's quite good because if you're working with a lot of the same sets throughout the film, you can use that document to work out when you can destroy sets. So you don't accidentally destroy a set that took you a day to build, sort of thing, and then need it the next day. Do you make schedules for your projects much, or?
No, I really don't, because I don't think I could ever go buy a schedule.
Yeah, man, it's tough.
It's very like not kind of tedious, but not really. It's just like, oh man, I have to get this animation done by next week, but I got this something to do, but no, that's not important. I gotta get animation done by this week according to this schedule, or I gotta finish this script by tomorrow at noon, or else I'm screwed. You can't really, for me at least, it's hard to plan accordingly to like a schedule, because my life is busy enough as it is, and brick filming takes a little bit, like not in a bad way, like it takes a little bit out of my life, but it's a good bit. And I know what you mean. I focus all of that in that little section of my life. So I guess I do schedule, but in my life I schedule what I do, what I don't do, and I have to like, I guess I'm OCD in a way where I have to do this stuff and do all, like I have to do everything during that day, but I have to do it equally, I guess, in a way. But no, I really don't schedule for my brick films a lot. It's just a little too tedious for me. Props to you for doing that, though. I know you and probably some other people probably do it, but there's not a lot of people who actually do that. I mean,
I mean, I would never schedule the whole process, I think, because I mean, anyone that knows me knows that I'm not very good at getting films out quickly. But yeah, I mean, Dead Space, for example, that was shot on one of those schedules. I did the whole shoot 3 weeks before I had to go back to uni. So I was like, okay, I want to edit this while I'm at uni, and that was 18 months ago. I actually actually finished the production before I went back to uni, but yeah, I've had that really should be finished by now. But hey ho, we're getting there. Hey, maybe a trailer will be out by the time this comes out. Who knows?
Hey,
I don't want to jinx it,
that
though.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
So I think we have covered quite a lot about scripting a storyboard, and we're coming up on about almost 20 minutes by now. So I guess this section could be the tips on scripting and storyboarding and the pre-production process. So do you have any tips for younger viewers, or
Well, actually,
just any viewers out there?
I was thinking a fun thing would be to discuss. So I know you do a lot of writing with your academic studies and stuff. Do you use what particular programs do you use to script and stuff like that?
Well, for brick filming at least, I tried to. Oh, okay, I'm gonna just go back for a second. For script writing, I usually use Fade-In, which is about like a $100 program, but I got it for $50 because student discounts, gotta love those.
Oh man, I'm gonna miss that this year. I'm gonna miss that.
Student discounts are the way of life. That's how I get around. But Fade-In is what I use for my script writing. So for brick filming, I usually use Google Docs because it's a much easier collaborative process, and it's easier for people from different countries and different areas to just log into Google Docs with a link and just be on the same document at the same exact time, and just edit along and write notes. And it's such a great way to collaborate. So I've been using Google Docs for a while, but I think I'm gonna use Fade-In for much bigger projects that are not gonna be as collaborative, and like for Brick City Cops Part 2, I'm writing it in Fade-In right now because it's kind of like a script that I really want for just me to focus on and just not worry about anybody else looking at it until it's completely done. So I usually use Fade-In as a program for me to just solely focus on the script and not have to worry about people taking a look at it and commenting and reviewing and just providing notes. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm open to taking notes, but not until the whole script
Sometimes
is
you
done.
just want to get the bulk of it out there, don't you? And tinker with it yourself before you start showing it around.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so that's how I usually write scripts. So what do you use to write your scripts?
Well, this is actually something I forgot to mention earlier. When I'm writing a script, before I actually write the script, I will type it out like a story. So just like you'd read it in a book. And I don't actually think that's the usual thing to do, actually. But I quite like sort of because the way I come up with it is not the dialogue scenes and the fight scenes. I mean, I've actually done quite George Lucas things in that I think he was almost famous for just writing, oh, they fight, instead of this whole explaining how the lightsaber fight happens. And I sort of do that, so I sort of build my framework in Word, Microsoft Word, and it's like a couple of pages long, I guess. And then from that, I'll then I actually also use Word for my scripts these days, but probably looking to move to a scripting software at some point. But there's actually a pretty decent template for scripting on Word already, I think. I mean, as long as you got that, what is it? Korea New?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
man, that's
best
the
font
stuff.
ever.
It is the best font ever. It looks the best as well.
It looks the best. It feels the best. It writes the best.
Unless you're James Cameron, you really need to be writing your scripts with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so yeah, I just use the basic Word basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really, for me, honestly, it doesn't really matter, what you use, as long as you, write something down and just write it to a way where that, works for you. Like, whatever feels comfortable, whatever makes you relaxed, write it that way in whatever program you got. Like, I know people say, equipment doesn't matter, but it does at times, but then it doesn't at times. So just, use what you got. Don't worry about spending money on anything or, downloading anything. Just, use what you got and just write and, write it out. Fill out a whole story and just tell a good story. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. So how deep are we in now? About 24 minutes? 24 minutes in? Okay, so we can start to sort of wind down, I guess. So we've basically gone over, what have we gone over in this episode? We've gone over pre-production, scripting and storyboarding. But yeah, guys, tell us how you do this process in the comments below. I mean, this is we're actually gonna pre-record the whole first season probably before this episode's released.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a very reactive sort of inverted commas podcast, but yeah, we're still super interested to know what your general process is. Have you got any sort of quirks to your process? You got any fun things, fun facts? And I think the key to a good scripting and storyboarding process is to sort of keep it evolving, keep it changing. So if something doesn't work, sort of maybe phase it out. Something you think might work, phase it in.
Yeah. And if something, if something really doesn't work for you, put it to the side and just, take a look at it a week later with fresh eyes and see, how do you feel about that story now? And if it still doesn't work, put it to the side and come back to it another week later. Because as long as you keep coming back to it with fresh eyes, it'll just open up more and more openings for more changes and more, just more impactful storytelling, I guess.
That's it. I also really like showing sort of when I'm getting to it, and when I've written my initial stories, actually, I sort of show that to a couple of mates, see what they say, because actually someone else's opinion, they might be able to suggest something that you hadn't seen earlier on or hadn't come up with, and it could really benefit your story sometimes, I think.
Oh yeah, the collaborative process really helps in a storytelling way, because someone else could have a totally different idea than you, and you may not like it, but it could be very helpful for the story.
Or it could sort of spark another idea in your head.
Right,
and
yeah.
You're like, oh, that's great. I mean, also particularly if this is something, because I know there are some brick filmers out there that want to go into this sort of thing professionally. I think being able to work with people in an environment like the creative process is a real important skill to practice and hone, sort of. So yeah, I guess we'll close it down, sort of thing. There are a couple of things I think we should say beforehand.
Yes.
Totally unrelated to Behind the Bricks here is the Frame 100 podcast. As the time of this recording, we have just released our channel trailer. I would imagine is like 99%. In fact, I'm 99% sure that episodes will have been out by the time this comes out. But we got a new channel now. It's called the Frame 100 podcast. So head on over there. There's we'll put a link in the description, I guess.
Yeah, we will.
Head on over there, drop a subscribe, subscribe to Scorched Bricks here for more of these episodes, and subscribe to Jared's channel, the Do Brick. Is there a "the" in there?
No, it's just Do Brick. That's just my Twitter.
just keeping it casual.
That's just Twitter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. That's just Twitter. Also, hey, that was a good plug. That was a good
there
plug.
you go.
Follow us on Twitter at the Do Brick and at Scorched Bricks.
You can also follow the Frame 100 Podcast on Twitter at the Frame 100 Podcast. Very simple. Go follow. Yeah. Go check out the Frame 100 Podcast YouTube channel. Should be in that description as well, but you'll find it. We have our channel trailer out. Go check it out. I made it. You should like it. I hope so, at least. We do, at the time of this recording, we will have an episode of the Frame 100 Podcast out on Saturday.
So it's actually the 27th of March now.
Saturday, March 31st will be the first episode back from our break.
Hopefully it was good.
I hope it was too. Because honestly, I have no idea how it is. I don't know if I'm on it, but we'll see. So go check that out. I think that should be everything so far.
Yeah, drop a like, drop your process in the comments.
All the usual stuff. Drop your script writing, your pre-production process, and also drop in topics that you would like us to, talk about in the coming season or the next season. We'll see. We kind of have the whole season 1 planned out so far, but if we like your idea, we might incorporate it in to one of the episodes. So check out all our channels. Check out all our Twitters. Go follow, go subscribe, go drop a like.
Guys, it's been chill. It's been fun. We've had a nice little conversation here. And you guys have a good week. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, these episodes are going to be weekly. So look forward to it. We haven't decided the day yet, so whatever day this has come out, add a week, the next episode.
And that is Behind the Bricks.